Yo, yo, yo. What is up, man? I had you guys all in suspense, didn't I? Uh yeah, I did. I got caught on the phone with somebody who's a new audiophile, guy's named Chris, and he was ready to buy some gear, and I was giving him my time, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh my God, it's past. I'm normally right on time." So, excuse me for being late, everybody. But I am here now, and I am all yours. So, uh, we will start this puppy rolling right now. I wish I had like an intro. You know, I'm gonna make some music, by the way. I'm redoing my intro with my brother and my nephew. My nephew plays drums, my brother plays guitar, and I'll be doing a new intro. So the one you've been listening, it'll be a riff, something like that, but it'll actually be a Les Paul out of a Marshall, you know, and something super cool and sound much more professional than it does now. I got what I got now just straight off YouTube royalty free music. So, anyways, so yeah, guys, damn, we got that show, the Capital Audio Fest, coming up quick, man. It is coming up fast, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm jamming to get all my stuff together. Okay, so I'm gonna start reading through what we've got here, so I can see what we've got in the listings and in your replies. Have I ever heard or used Deoxit contact cleaner? I have heard and I have used it. I used to give it out with my cables. I used to give a little teeny tube of Deoxit with every cable. Was absolutely blown away at the sonic improvement. It was I was hesitant but tried it. Yeah, the bottom line is cleaning your connections is good. That's the stuff gets gunked up. If you don't clean your RCAs, man, they get gunked up, especially RCAs because they sit outside the back of the gear and dust collects on them. They get all sorts of schmutz and oil and whatever on there, and you got to wipe them off. So you get these little rags, little cloth, put a little deoxit. You could even use alcohol and just put it on there and turn it and clean those RCAs. And then you can get these special little, I wouldn't use a regular Q-tip because it's probably too fat for the tip or for the center of the RCA, but you can get these little cleaner brush things for RCAs and clean out the inside of it with a little solvent or something on it, little maybe deoxit. The Pro Gold is the one that gets a little weird because it can add a coating onto it. Some of those coatings can work. Some of them are a real mess. I remember there was this silver paste back in the day that some of these guys sold, Quicksilver paste or something like that. It was a tweak that you could buy. And man, people got all giddy over it and they gunked up all their cables with it and all their RCAs. What they didn't realize is over a year, 2 years, that stuff collected dust and got greasy and started to oxidize or sulfidize, whatever. And gunk up the all the connectors, man. So you have to be careful using those tweaks, that pasty stuff. Many times I stay away from that stuff because you'll gunk up and many times affect things bad. And when it's brand new, it works great, right? But then it degrades over time and it gets horrible. And meanwhile, people have put it all over their tube pins and all over everything, man. And then, man, it is like a nightmare to clean up. And I've seen some of these pieces that come in after some guy went crazy with that stuff, and it's just an utter mess. So be careful with what you put on your inputs and your outputs. But it is good to clean them. Just use something smart. Deoxit's not bad. I also use this one. Where is it? See if I have. It's a cool thing called damn, what was the name of it? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I had a tube of it. It's around here somewhere. You guys like my shirt? Check that out. Anyways, I had a tube of this stuff. What was it called, man? They use it in avionics on like airplane knobs and stuff so that there's no dysfunction on the airplane controls. Stable, I think. Damn, I know I've got it nearby. I can't see it right now. Anyways, that stuff, Stable 24, Stabilant 44 or Stabilant 22 or something like that. That shit was really good too. So those are like proven things. That are not hi-fi tweaks that some guy is making in his garage and just like, oh, it'd be great to mix silver powder with Vaseline and sell it as a tweak, you know. That stuff, you don't want to mess with that. You want to mess with the stuff that's like patented, that's for electronics, that has been used in electronics for a long time. So yeah, there's that. Sup guys, sup Masher, Aussie, what's up, Shane? Jason, how you doing, man? Fuck 'em Studios, what's going on, brother? Tony Wheeler, maybe a tube blew. She blew a tube. A cable issue. Let's see, I don't even know. I was blown away at the sonic improvement. Oh, I got you. Maybe a tube blew. Oh, is he running his show on Tube Power EL34 6550? This show is so buttery smooth. Tubes had to warm up. I was working on educating fellows. Good to see you, Masher. Mikey, how's it going? What's up? Talent, what's up, Norris? Nori, since you're alone. Tony Wheeler, in the 1960s, it took our Philco TV about 3 minutes from turn on to up. Remember that? That was great, man. GP, nice to hear from you. What are my thoughts on N-Trek grounding boxes that are meant to take care of signal grounding? Okay, so what's his name, man? Is it Jose, man? I've talked to this guy. It's been a while. Let me see. I'm going to look. NTREQ. Let me see. Oh, man. Okay, so he's the guy in Florida, right? N-Trek. Let me see. N-Trek. I'm looking it up right now to see if this is the guy. Yeah, this is. Oh no, N-Trek UK. This is not the guy. Okay, so products, ground boxes. They do car audio. Okay, N-Trek. I remember this stuff. Yeah, we cannot. So we need to keep everything with strict secrecy. Yeah, you can't protect. Okay, so here's something interesting that I'll tell you as I'm reading this, and I'll tell you what it means, because this will tell you a lot. It says right here, we cannot protect our innovations with patent pending. So we need to keep everything about the construction with strict secrecy. This, of course, okay, to write a lot of fake, but there's another story. Okay, so what they're saying is, if they can't patent it, that means it's too obvious, or it means somebody else has patented it, or it's just obvious. You can only patent things that are not obvious. Okay, if it's obviously a napkin works to absorb, water, you can't patent that because it's just obvious. A cloth absorbs water. So and another reason people don't patent things is because it is, if it's unpatentable, it's not necessarily a good sign. It pretty much means it's not innovative enough. It doesn't mean it does not work. It means it's not innovative enough to be novel to grant a patent, to get a patent. So that means you could probably make it yourself. Now, he's not going to tell you what's in it, but they've got different layers of stuff. You can take layers of copper and you can put sand in between them. You can use quartz crystal. You can use green conundrum or what was it? Silicon carbide, tourmaline. There's all sorts of different minerals that you can use. Go to the hippie rock store and those type of minerals. That's not the place to buy this shit, but you buy it from industrial places and you buy bags of this grit. And it's sand, but it's really not, quartz. Some of it's quartz. You find crushed quartz. You just layer this shit in there between metal and silver metal, and then you can put a wire to all those. Every layer of metal can have a different wire soldered to it, and then all those wires. Let's say there's 5 layers of metal, 5 wires soldered to those layers. Move those wires off to a binding post. Attach them at the back, the ass end of the binding post, and have that binding post in that box. Put it in a wood box, cigar box, whatever the hell you want to put it in. A wooden box works fine, easy to machine. You drill a hole, put the binding post, put all that shit to that binding post. Now take that binding post and hook a wire up to your gear. It's going to freaking work, dude. You're going to be amazed at what this shit does. I've gone down this rabbit hole and I've experimented with these things. I actually made my own. I created my own mix. I tried all sorts of different things. I just named you some of the minerals that I used. And it's amazing the different minerals, the different metals that you put in. You can layer them flat. You can put them angled like antennas. So you do a V inside there. There's all sorts of different ways to do this, but I'm telling you, man, you just make yourself a wood box, shit, and fill it with sand. And that's the basic one, but then you add some other things. You'll be amazed at what happens from these things. It's crazy. It's crazy how they work, but they do work. And it's not rocket science. So that's why it can't be patented. So anyways, so that's what I think of Entrek. Entrek works. They're cool. If you don't have the time to monkey around, then you don't. But it's a DIY thing that somebody has taken and made very nice. You know, they've DIY'd it into their own special DIY design. And then they went public with it and took it out into the audio industry, which anybody can do. You know, anybody can do that. Not everybody's, has the chutzpah and the drive and the wherewithal to do that shit, because it's a pain in the ass to manufacture something. Take it from me, man. I'm a cable manufacturer. At some certain point, you just can't freaking sit in a goddamn bench all the time and doing that shit. A gosh darned bench. Okay. Excuse my French. So yeah, that's my thought about Entrek. The guy in Florida he's like kingpin of grounding shit. And again, he was a guy that was just like, I can't remember what he did, but he was not an electrical engineer. He's not a guy. He just had an idea and he put these things together and he came up with these ideas and he made these killer grounding boxes. They're the most expensive ones. I can't remember what they're called. If anybody remembers, let me know. But he's in Florida. He's Latin. I think he's either Brazilian or he's Puerto Rican or something like that. Raphael or something. I can't remember the guy's name offhand. But I've talked to him back and forth. He's invited me over. He's like, dude, he's so intense on his grounding stuff that he tells me you can put like a regular shit $25 CD player or DAC, like a $100 DAC from Best Buy, and put it on his grounding box, and he claims it'll sound better than anything you've ever heard. Now, those are some big words for me. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm glad you're high on your product. You should be. You make it. All that kind of stuff. But I will go someday. Next time I'm down in Florida, I will go by his place and listen to his grounding boxes and see and see what they're all about. So, anyways, yeah. So that's my thoughts about grounding boxes. Sup, Mikey? I figured how to connect the dual subs on Sublime crossover. Let me see something. Oh yeah, cool. Look at that. Okay, cool. I'm gonna start doing this. Okay, sup, Mikey? I figured out how to connect the dual subs on the Sublime crossover. No more Y cables. LOL. Do I have a fax for classical music? The hell does that mean? He was probably using text to speech. Oh my God. Okay, so let's hear. Had the chance to hear MPDA MPS 8 hooked up to Vinny Rossi and preamp LC Box Botticelli. My favorite system of the show. Very nice sound. There you go. You know it, man. Would I be involved with it if it wasn't kick-ass? No. One day people will understand that Mikey knows the good shit and I don't fuck around. And I sell the things that are actually of value at their full retail price. And then my reputation will precede me and I won't have to, be proving anything anymore. People will just take my word for it. A lot of people do already. Look, you guys have been watching me for 4 years now. And people now just call me up ready to close the deal. They've seen enough of me and heard enough of me and heard enough of whatever else is out there to decide Mikey's the real deal. So that's good. I appreciate that. I went to, let's see, we'll do this one. I went to my local Best Buy and they had a pair of Kef blades on Macintosh monos. I don't know if it was the room acoustics or the song, but it sounded very mid-fi and average. Well, yeah, that would be typical of Best Buy. It's kind of uncommon. I'm going to try and get this a little more centered here. It's kind of uncommon for something at Best Buy to to be set up properly. These are people, you got to understand, these are not passionate hi-fi people. These are guys that are getting paid, you know, $15 an hour to stand around with their thumb up their butt and take care of people wandering through the store. So you know, it would be highly unlikely that they would have a really good setup. It's amazing to me that they can even sell with those setups, and somehow maybe they do. I heard something about Best Buy the other day, and what brand was it? I think it was Macintosh. It was Macintosh. It was. What I heard, you guys, and here's a little secret for you, and is that Best Buy will discount Macintosh to steal the sale. And I shouldn't really be telling you this because, you know, I'm not about feeding large corporations. I'd rather feed the little guy. But just so happens I don't give a shit about Macintosh because it's a corporate brand. So if you want to get the best deal on Macintosh, you can go to the Best Buy and tell them, you know, you want the best price that they give. And I talked to a customer who got $3,000 off on a $13,000 integrated at Best Buy on Macintosh. So it was pretty cool. Okay, so let's see. Let's try another. Also, have I tried an Ethernet switch with power supply for my server streamer? Notice a difference, Melco's SOTM. Yes, so I don't buy SOTM is I'm sorry. SOTM is Korea. I don't know what Melco is, but yeah, man, they do work, but you'd only need to spend, the one that I like is called Fidelizer. Okay, like Fidelity, Fidelizer, Fidelizer. Guy is out of Thailand. He's Thailand or Vietnam. Either way, he takes and mods like switches like the Seagate or what are those things called again? Not Seagate, but man, I'm having some brain farts tonight. He takes and modifies existing built switches and charges $400. They're either 400 or 500 maybe now. And you get, and it definitely improves things. Is it night and day? No. But is it noticeable? Yes. Is it something that, oh my God, you've got to have it? You know, not in my rig. My rig already is pretty freaking good. And those streamer and the DAC is already really clean and does really good with the incoming signal. But it's weird the way that can help. I have yet to exploit the optical run from my modem out to my rig. I'll try that, but I still use optical from between my streamer and my DAC, which is the most important place to have optical. So yeah, so they do make a sense. They do make sense, but I like the Fidelizer. That's the one that I recommend because it's $400, man. It was $400 last time. So, do I have any experience with TNA audio? You mean T plus A? I wish it was TNA. I think that's funny, tits and ass audio, but it's not. It's T plus A, and I don't have any experience. I've never bought it. I'll tell you what. I went to their website and I read their stuff, and I was totally sold on it. The way they write their marketing and the way they present their stuff, I was like, thumbs up, man. This is I'll buy. You know, I thought cool stuff. Let me check it out. Then I started getting feedback from people in the field that T plus A was just sort of meh. It was good, but it wasn't great. And so I have never heard from my people. And trust me, I talk to a lot of people every day, and I ask everybody what gear they have, and they all share with me the results of the gear that they have, and they love to they share with me their experiences with other dealers, with manufacturers and repairs. I get all sorts of information from you guys, and it's great because it helps me have a grip on the sort of the current of how things are happening in the industry and so forth. T plus A is nobody's ever called me up and said, oh, T plus A is the greatest. So I don't have any experience with them personally. If anybody wants to send me one, I would check it out for you and do a video. But I'm not going to go buy one. What's up, Mikey? Audiophile and bike lover. What is up, man? Audiophile and bike lover. What kind of bike? Motorcycles? You sound like me. Tell us about that new Jeff Roland amp. I don't have it yet, but I got my my shipment request today, or not my shipment request, my shipment confirmation from Roland saying that they're they created the labels today. So I should have them. They should ship this week. I'll have them next week, and I can't wait, man. You know, just talking to Jeff, I'm so reminded how, I hate to use the term blessed, but that's how I honestly feel about it. How blessed we are to still have guys in the industry that have so much heart, that create products for us. All you guys would need is talking to him for 10 minutes and you'd be like, I don't give a shit what he's selling. I want to buy from that guy. Because look, man, he's as, I would say Mark Levinson is more popular because he's more well known, but Jeff Roland is an actual circuit designer and an audio designer, which Mark Levinson is not. Crazy as that sounds, Mark Levinson is an idea man, a front man, a marketing guy. He is the front man. He is not the back, you know, the Jeff Roland, on the other hand, is the designer. He sits down and he hand makes everything, man. He still draws his circuits out on a drafting table. You know who does that anymore? Dude, that is a dead art. Nobody draws it up using all the tools on a draftsman table to draw the circuit. I am like, Jeff, please, dude, let me get some circuits. I want to get some of his original drawings. I'll freaking frame them up and put them on my wall. I'm asking him, and I'm going to get them signed just because I'm that freaking geeky. But that's what he does. He draws them up. Everybody else would do them on a computer. He hand draws them. Everything's handmade. He's got people assembling them there in Colorado. And he's got very unique circuitry. He employed some new new techniques in this amplifier design, which gives it a different character than any that he's done before. That teamed with some brand new parts that he's putting in are going to give it an exceptionally organic, musical, and clear, low distortion. It's going to be an amazing cross between, this is what I'm speculating. It's going to be an amazing cross, and from what he said, amazing cross between having something extremely organic and musical, while at the same time being 0.0000 distortion and extremely clean, yet engaging at the same time. And of course, it's gorgeous Jeff Roland gear. Who makes stuff like that? Nobody. It's a dying breed, and to be able to get something for 15 grand like that, that's built like that, it's ridiculous. Okay, in order to usually approach that kind of level, you have to go much higher up the scale and buy from guys that are totally unsavory, that you don't like. I don't know if any of y'all have met, you know, the guy that owns Boulder or Dan D'Agostino, but these guys leave a little something to be desired when you meet them or you know, deal with them. And again, that's my personal opinion, just from my experience. So the new Jeff Roland amp is going to be killer, man. It's going to be really something else, and it is on its way. I will be bringing it to the show. So if you want to see it, come to the show. It'll be super cool. Do you need to recryo after you deox it? No. Wondering if you can show the internals. Wondering if you can show the internals of an MPS 8 like you did with the MPD8. Curious to see how it's organized. Maybe. I'm not really motivated to do it. It's in my rig. I'd have to pull it out of my rig and, you know, pull it apart. And it's a computer. What are you going to see inside a computer? It's really not going to be anything like the MPD8. The MPD8 is got part of it, one board that it's a computer, but it's all just power supply and output section. You know, I mean, you're going to see the killer same power supply, the same toroids inside the MPSX, but it's going to be a computer board, you know? So, you know, the more I do this, there's certain things that I want to show you inside when I'm trying to make a point, but for the most part, and I hate to put it this way, your nose doesn't belong inside the gear. You shouldn't be in there. It's fun to look inside, but I wouldn't imagine MPX would be something that would be like, oh my God, it's so cool. You're going to see a freaking computer board. You're going to see a power supply. You know, I don't think there's anything. The reason I opened up MPD8 was to show you how much more of an extravagant build the output section was, and the analog and how it was all divided up into separate boards on the MPD-8 was, it's really quite striking. Or I'll show you the inside of things to show you how there isn't shit in there. You know, there's not much in there in some occasions. So I don't think we're really going to be that impressed. And, you know, and so I'm not really that motivated. But if I do get around to it, I will keep that in mind. David Cross would never use a coating on connectors. Okay. So there's a lot of people, and I'm pretty much the same way. I'll clean them, but I won't put a coating on there. Nothing that coats anything. Love what you do. Right on, bike lover. Audiophile. Love what you do. Thanks, man. Paul Halford. Morning, Mikey from tropical Scotland. Cool. I met somebody from Tropical. Nice, man. I'd like to come and see Scotland. My blood, Powell, my last name is Welsh. So I've never been there to Scotland or Ireland or Wales. And so I'd like to come when the weather's good. And I'm not eating haggis, brother. I'm not eating haggis. No organ meats, no gritty stomach entrails, man. Yo, yo, yo. Glad to see you and the knowledge you bring. Thanks, Johnson. David Cross says, clean and maintain connections regular only. Yep, same, my sentiment exactly. Here's Nick. Nick Panazzi. Hey, Mikey, a quick squirt of deoxit works just fine. Yeah, just to clean them off. I agree. Bike Lover says, will we ever see you and Jay on camera again? I like seeing you both debate, face green smiling. Yeah, man. I really don't know. I really don't know. You know, I'm not going to go into too much of it, but there's a group of people that have made it clear that they're going to try and make it hard for me to succeed in this business. I think the exact words of this guy was, I'm going to take you out, whatever I do. This kind of shit just feeds my soul, man. I'll eviscerate that old fuck, like, you know, in a nanosecond with words like that. But you know, and Jay hangs out with that guy. So it, depending on who who's Jay's friends are, I may not choose to be buddies with him, you know. We were, you know, we knew each other from this thing, but you know, it was kind of fun. But again, somebody got a little serious when I didn't like his gear and whatever. I don't need to go on. So I don't know if we'll see each other or not. You know, he's going to come to my room at the show, and then he'll probably put it on video, and you know, he'll probably give it shit because I know I'm doubting his intentions at this point. I think Jay kind of wants to throw me under the bus because I know his friends do. So if he's listening to them, then I suppose that's on his plan list as well. So, you know, that's that. What is my take on power cables directly into the wall as opposed to through the power conditioner? Completely depends on the power conditioner. So Puritan Audio Labs, you put it into the power conditioner. Everything else, anything with a transformer in it, you put it into the wall. And especially on amplifiers. Sometimes on source components, it's okay, even if it has a transformer inside. But even things like the PS Audio Regenerator has its own oscillator inside. It makes its own noise. So even though you may take off some certain noise on the line, you add new noise in using their oscillator. So you have to be I like passive power conditioning. So the Puritan Audio Labs is completely passive. You can plug your amps, everything into the same conditioner. In that conditioner, it's got 6 outlets, right? There's 6 singular outlets on back with little dust covers that flip up. Every single outlet has its own circuit behind it. So you're not getting like typical power conditioner will have one filtration circuit and then 6 outlets come off that single filtration circuit. The way that it works in the Puritan is there's 6 separate filtration circuits. So every single socket has its own isolated filtration circuit. So nothing gets shared with the socket next to it, meaning the component next to it. So your digital gear, your DAC, for instance, can sometimes have noise. Digital gear can put noise back on the line. It won't mess with your amp or your delicate preamp or something like that in the case of the Puritan, because everything is isolated from one another and they all have a straight home run back to the inlet for the AC, the 20 amp AC power inlet. So with the Puritan, that's the one of the only ones that I know that you can plug it into there and you don't need to go straight into the wall with your amplifiers. And because any power conditioner that has a transformer in it is going to clamp dynamics. That means reason why is that transformer holds the juice, if you will. When you have a low drawn out bass note or you're playing loud, your power amplifier is sucking current. It's asking for a lot of current from that power cord, from the power supply, from the wall. If your power conditioner has a big transformer in it, you're going to tap it out. You're going to drain the transformer. All the power reserve that's in the transformer is going to vanish. And now you got nothing and you're hitting the wall when you're trying to have any dynamic impact at that point. So that's why anything with a transformer, and I won't touch it. Okay. So PS Audio, I can't remember the other ones, but PS Audio definitely has a transformer. Furman has a transformer. They have big toroids in there. And the transformer idea works, but any transformer that fits in a normal piece of gear is not big enough. You need a transformer that sits on the floor. It's too heavy to lift. That size of a transformer would do what they're trying to do inside the Furman, inside the PS Audio, but they can only do it sort of like half-ass-ish, if you will, and put it in a normal 17-inch wide chassis. You just can't fit a transformer big enough not to tap out in there. So the next, spades or banana connectors for amp and speaker connections. I like spades because you can crank the shit out of the binding post. You get a good solid surface contact area. The bananas can go in there and be loose. Locking bananas they expand the tip of the banana, but they're a pain in the ass because you have to use two hands to expand the tip. So BFA are my favorite bananas. Those are the ones that are kind of look like a semicircle that have the little squiggly line down there because they act as a spring. So and when you push them in, they push against the outside edge of the inside of the cylinder. So BFA bananas are my favorite of the bananas, but typically spades are my favorite because you can crank them down and just get a super solid contact surface area. If you have your choice, a lot of times bare wire is the best connection, because once you start adding connectors and solder and joints and stuff like that, it takes away. Now, granted, it takes away on such a slight level that it probably doesn't make much of a difference. But if you're a real wicked purist like Mark Levinson, never use connectors ever. No way. He wants bare wire. So that all depends. So I hope that answered your questions. Your questions you had too. Hey, Mikey, I own the Analysis Orions. What is your opinion of the bass panels from Analysis that complement the Amphitryons to make Orions? I don't know. I've never heard the bass panels, man. And the jury is still out for me on Analysis. Analysis rolled off too quickly. They were dull sounding in stock form. I needed to add a tweeter to my Amphitryons to get them to go up. Like at 15K, they started to roll off. My curve went at starting at 15K. I couldn't hear any sizzle on the top. I couldn't hear any shimmer on the cymbals, and that's what makes presence. That's what makes something sound real. Is that presence, that initial attack on the stick, the tick on the cymbal, and then the shimmer that you get on the cymbal, and that high frequency. You need to have 20K, even if we can't hear to 20K. It needs to be no less than down 3 dB at 20K, in my opinion, in that room. So the Amphitryon failed at that, and I went back and forth with the owner of the company and Analysis, and I took measurements on the speaker, sent him the measurements, and it wasn't. I needed to fix it. So I made a Magnapan tweeter, a 60-inch ribbon tweeter, and I turned a two-way speaker into a three-way speaker, and I brought that 20K up, which made and then I added a super tweeter on the back, a Townsend Audio super tweeter that's firing straight up at the ceiling, and that brings it up to where it's down 2 dB at 20K, and it makes all the difference in the world with the presence. It's like people are there. It gives you that presence, but without it. So analysis, as a speaker company, I could sell them. I don't sell them. I have the ability. They would make me a dealer instantly, but I won't sell them because I've not heard them in their natural stock form cut the mustard for me. So I don't know anything about their bass, but that speaker company as a whole, I think it needed help. I needed to fix their speakers that I have. So the jury's still out for me. I have not heard your big dogs, the Orions, at all, but it seems like a pretty cool thing. Now, my Amphitryons did plenty of bass, but I still like bass not coming from the mid-range, from the woofer. I like woofer and sub bass to be separate. I don't want them coming from the same thing. That's just me, man. I know people will argue and they'll say a single speaker or two-way is the best, but man, I like four ways. It sounds jacked up, but if you can do a four-way really well, which is super hard, I just love that, man. You can get the guttural, that really deep bass, man. Okay, I just heard the Focal Grand Utopia hooked up to the new flagship name equipment, transparent and dynamic, but really harsh. Totally, man. Was not a fan personally. Lines up with what you've said. Totally, man. Anytime I've heard the two together, it's ridiculous. What it is for us is it's proof that companies put products together for business reasons and not for sonic excellence. They put them together because they own both brands and they need to sell both brands. So they try and tell you that shit sounds good. And you go to the show and you listen, or you go to the dealer and listen, and you're like, it doesn't sound good. And they're, listen to how good it sounds. You're like, wow, you're really trying to shovel some crap into my mouth, man. You know? So yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I think those things are horrible together. You knew I was a Kiss fan. Yeah, man, I grew up with Kiss, you know. And I listen to it now every now and again. Not like I listen to it when I want to. My favorite rock band is like, if you know, if I'm listening to the heavy shit, is Sabbath for sure, by far. But I grew up with Kiss when I was a kid, man. And so I always loved Kiss. And man, those, talk about marketing geniuses. Holy shit. Think about the merch those guys have sold. It's unbelievable. Mikey, I have Vienna speakers that I like very much, and I'm curious about your opinion, sonic character. Okay, to better understand mine. To me, the Vienna Acoustics that I have are a little bit dark sounding. That's how they come across to me. They have a lot of bass. They're very solid. I think they are very tricky to set up. They are very precise speakers. You must really, it took us a long time to get the imaging perfect and to get those things dialed in the room. They are not forgiving. So they're hard to get perfect, but when you get them perfect, they're quite amazing. They lean a little bit dark for me, so they can go well with certain things better than others. Now, anybody that's listening to me, he's talking about Vienna Acoustics. I have what's called the Music, or D Music, which is the top of the line Vienna Acoustics. They're $35,000 floor standards that are absolutely beautiful, all in-house made drivers. Anybody wants them, I'll sell them for $10,000. And this is a $35,000 speaker. I need the room, okay? And I'm talking to my tribe right now. So come and get them. Get them out of here, man. Somebody get these damn speakers. It'll be the freaking deal of your freaking lifetime, man. You'll never find speakers like that nice for 10 grand. And I'll sell them. So a little bit dark. That's my feeling from them. Roland planning update our new Class D amp. No. Nope. Jeff Roland's newest amp is Class AB. Roland had people aren't ready for Class D. Let's put it that way. Still, to this day, it's still tough to get Class D. Even when it sounds freaking phenomenal, man, they have to have an open mind. Jeff Roland's Class D stuff sounds freaking phenomenal. But people talk too much smack about it. And the other thing is, even though Jeff is phenomenal at doing the input sections and the power supplies for those modules, he still needs to buy modules. So he buys Pascal, or he buys B&O in the case of the ICE module in the case of the 125. So you're not getting a 100% Jeff Roland design product, which you are with the Class AB. So for Jeff Roland's Class A/B stuff, I find, to me, it's a stronger value. I'm more into it. It's more of a collectible piece to me because it's 100% Jeff Roland. And I'm telling you guys, okay, listen to me now and believe me later. When Jeff Roland is gone, everybody's going to be fucking dying for that product. I will mark my words. People do not understand what the hell Jeff Roland stuff is, okay? It is not pimped and marketed by the audio media because Jeff doesn't play that game. He's like me. He does not play the audio media game. He does not put all these advertising and then expect a hand job back, in terms of good reviews. Jeff doesn't play that. He's above it. He's above it. It's too cheap to put your shit in the magazines. Any jackass can do that. Jeff Roland won't. So that's why people don't know what it is, because the magazines aren't talking about, because you guys rely on the magazines to take anything serious. Hopefully you've started to listen to me and you'll take things serious that I tell you about, because you'll understand my intent is true, and Jeff Roland stuff is made with such care and so well that I consider his Class A/B stuff collectible. I won't sell my 625s. I got two 625 S2s. They're out of production. I'm not going to sell them. I'm getting two 555s shortly. And man, trust me, man, when you guys see this thing and you hear it, nobody builds like this. Nobody freaking gives a shit enough. They care too much about profit. They don't give a shit enough about giving a product with love and intent imbued into it the way Jeff does. But people don't recognize that. And it's a freaking crying shame. Asia does. Japan does. Japan and Asia buys his stuff like bonkers, mainly Japan. And Japan has very high taste. China just wants expensive shit. They don't necessarily have good taste. They just want expensive shit to show off. The Japanese are a little more discerning in what they buy. I'm just talking about hi-fi and what they buy in my experience, okay? So it means a lot. Jeff Roland's new amp is coming out, and then I know what the next product is that's coming out after, but I need to ask him if I can talk about it, because he's got another Class A/B coming out after the 555, and I know what it is, but nobody else does. So I'll ask him if I can talk about it to you guys, and then I'll let you guys know if I can. Okay, so Paul says Chord Company does one. I don't like the sound of it. It's called Chord Ohmic Transmission Fluid. Everybody's got some jizz for the connector jizz because I have to crude everything down. It's yeah, whatever. Everybody's got one of those. Everybody's got a vibration isolation. Everybody's got a goop for the connectors. Everybody's got whatever, power conditioning thing. But it's the companies that only make power conditioners that are the best. It's the companies that only make stands that are the best, or vibration isolation that are the best. But when a company just Chord makes it, they're just it's a me too afterthought at that point to try and upsell you. So I rarely buy. I stick to the companies that specialize. I prefer specialists over do-it-all type companies. Jeff P.S. Hello. Any insight on the lower end audio note DACs or Abbas esoteric audio DAC? I don't know what Abbas is. I know what esoteric audio is. Esoteric audio, for the most part, to me, sounds sharp and analytical. I've never liked esoteric, except the older stuff as transports, but that's it. Audio note, I've got no experience with audio note. As far as I know, audio note's very expensive, and it seems kind of overpriced. So I don't really have much interest in finding out about it. I would, again, if somebody wants to send me audio note, I do have respect for audio note. So I would expect that it is good. I would expect it's good shit. I have small rel T5X. Would adding a second one be a worthwhile addition to my near field setup? Probably not in a near field. In a near field, if your sub's right there, you probably don't need it, man. Even in a near field, you're going to be getting good bass off those mains if they have 6.5s or higher. Hopefully 6.5s you got as woofers on your near field monitors. But I would say no, you don't need a second one for a near field setup. Audiophile and bike lover. Hi, Jay. I know that's the first thing I thought, Dave. Yeah, that is the first thing I thought. I thought, wow, that sounds just like me. Uh-huh. You know, I wonder if there's a reason. That you're so funny, Dave. I totally picked up on that. I didn't say anything, but that's the first fucking thing that I thought. So Dave is on this, damn man. Dave is on it hey, what's up, David? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Zipper Unamused. Is there a single trustworthy reviewer at any print online publication? I think there is. Like, you know, it's not the reviewers. It's the job that they do. Okay, so let's take, you know, I know some good guys, you know, that are well, Barry Willis is a close friend of mine. I don't know that he works as a theater critic now and an art critic, and he writes about theater. But he used to write for the magazines, and he was very straightforward. But nowadays, your hands are tied. Just tell me how your boss is paid by Magical, let's say. Okay, so I'm Mikey, magazine reviewer, and we've got David Blumenstein watching. So David, feel free to respond to this, because David is a reviewer, or I don't know, David, you're a journalist, you're a reviewer, you can call yourself whatever you want, but he's worked for the magazines before. So maybe David can comment, because I know he has an opinion on this, and it may be a little different than mine. I think, how can you be objective when your boss gets paid by Magical, let's say? Okay, so the boss gets money, let's say $100,000 a year goes into the magazine. Let's say $50,000 a year goes into the magazine from Magico. Now the boss has told me I need to review the new Magico bookshelf speakers. How am I going to say anything but great about the Magicos? I really can't say anything but great stuff about it, because if I say this thing is overpriced and it doesn't deliver, first of all, they're not going to publish it. Second of all, I'll probably get fired. They'll be like, what are you trying to do? Ruin the magazine? We need the advertising dollars or we can't stay in business. Now, you must realize, when the magazine started, okay, when they started out, they did not have advertising. They did not take any money from the manufacturers. So they were completely unbiased, completely objective. And they hammered people. Like, I saw them hammering what's his name? Carver. Hammered Bob Carver, made fun of him, how Bob was at their showroom doing a demo and the speakers shit the bed, and then Bob was behind it fixing it, and they went to lunch and they came back and he was still there telling him he was going to get it. And they were like making fun of his ass and just torched him. And I was like, damn. And I was like, wow, that is heavy duty. Like, they just torched this guy. And that's how they used to be. They can't do that anymore. When was the last time you read a bad review? Do they even do that? So I don't blame the actual reviewers as much as I blame the game, right? It's like, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? So I don't hate the players, I hate the game, okay? A lot of these guys are good guys, you know? They're just dudes trying to make a living. They're journalists, so is that an artist? Maybe, if they write poetry, you know? It's like, so I like these guys. I don't think, you know, I can think of a real journalist that I don't like, as a matter of fact. But the game, it's just the game. So I don't know that I would put it on the reviewers. I think what a better question is there a single trustworthy publication? You know, is there a single trustworthy publication? Is there any publications that are unbiased? And if you say you are unbiased, if you take advertising money, it's impossible. I don't care how you're going to try and explain that one to me, Lucy. I'm not buying it, okay? Because you're paid by the advertisers. So therein lies the rub, okay? And that could be a whole hour conversation right there. Downtown Daddy Brown, first time at this. All right, brother. You bought 4 Sansui speakers in good condition for $500. There you go. I have no idea, brother. I would say I'm probably not up to my sound quality, you know. They're old, and old speakers get torqued, brother. The surrounds get worn out. A speaker is not something I want to buy old. I would buy an old amplifier first before anything. Zero moving parts. You just got to recap it, you know. Then preamps and things like that. Sure, but like DAC, a DAC still fine. But like a CD player, I would not want an older CD player. So they could be good, man. Go through them. Look at the internal wiring. You could probably soup them up and maybe get some great performance. I bought some old clips that way that were Heritage series, and they were from the 80s, man. They still had the guy's signature in the inside with the quality control sticker, you know. It was cool, and I did some modifications to the crossover, and they sounded great, man, for what they were. They were cheap, is what they were. So if you got 4 speakers for $500, bro, you know, I mean, that's crazy. You know, that's a dinner. You know, $500 is a dinner these days. TriPoint. Prio has it. That's right. Miguel at TriPoint. See, all I needed to see was TriPoint, and then I remembered his name. So TriPoint. David Blumenstein. See, David's sticking up for the print magazines. But he has a good point. And actually, he's not even sticking up for the print magazines. I take that back. He's pondering the question, is there any trustworthy reviewer on YouTube? And I would say probably not, man. And especially the ones that are taking money for it or that have, I don't review products. I tell you about shit that I like. If I was a reviewer, I would constantly have different shit. Like you look at like some of these magazines or some of the YouTube things, they're constantly reviewing different products. That means the manufacturers are sending them. In the case of Zero Fidelity Sean, he's very across the board about it. He tells us, I get this product. They give it to me. And so he's got a vested interest. He will be, I've not watched him, so I don't know if he ever says anything's bad. I don't think you can. I think he struck me as a pretty honest guy, but he's got to promote. What happens is you stop being a real reviewer and you become more of a promoter. I don't hide that I promote my products. I tell you straight out, I'm here to promote the stuff that I believe in, that I think is the best. But I think my aim is true, and it comes through to you guys. I think I'm not doing this I am doing this indirectly for a business, but it didn't start as a business plan. So this is a byproduct because people kept asking me. I started out selling cables and creating cables because I have an inventive mind. I'm an idea inventor guy. And so I created cables, and I thought I can do a better job. My aim when I started was I can do a better job than Audio Quest at half the price, and I can be successful. And that was my aim, and I did it. Okay. People started using my cables and were so blown away by the cables. They were asking me, dude, what DAC do you use? What amps do you like? All this kind of stuff. And I would tell them, then they would go buy it. And I'm like, man, I'm stupid not to be a dealer. I should be selling this stuff. And besides, I am, I make friends. Sometimes I remember someone was making fun of me. Mikey just likes to make friends out there in the field. Well, look, if I'm going to sell you gear, would you rather me be selling you gear as a business guy or as your friend? I'll tell you one thing. If you're my friend, I'm going to take a lot better care of you. I'm going to give you a special treatment because we're pals. We get each other. We're on the same wavelength. So so I'm getting off the freaking the topic. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not a review. I'm trustworthy. I'm on YouTube. I feel that I'm trustworthy, but I'm not a reviewer. But David makes a very valid point. The reviewers, when we look at the reviewers, whether they're in a magazine or whether they're on YouTube, if they are getting paid for advertising or they're getting gear, they are biased. They have to be. Okay. It's impossible not to be. So, so thanks, David. I appreciate that. My thoughts on Peak Consult speakers from Denmark. I know nothing about them. Charles is calling Macintosh in the morning. What, to tell on me? WA says, Mikey, do the AGD Class D GAN amps have the thin, dumbass, dry mids typical of Class D? No, they don't. They differ. Yes, they do. Worth checking out and buying. Sure, I guarantee it. If you buy it from me, I'll guarantee they beat what you have or your money back. Asking because I saw Jay Ziagi raving about them recently. Yeah, Jay called them best amp he's ever heard to date in his life. If you trust him, that ought to mean something. I sell them. So together with Jay's word and the fact that I sell them and I put my name behind them and I give a guarantee on them, ought to be enough for you to say it's probably not dry bullshit, because I don't sell things that sound like dry bullshit. So between the two of us, that should be enough. Jay indiscriminately raves. Yeah, Jay really does like it. Jason, does Playback Designs have any new products on the horizon? Possibly. But I have to talk to Andreas and see where everything is with that. It's very possible. But nothing that will be this year. Meant to say what DAC you recommend. I have LRS. Okay, he's asking what DAC I recommend for classical music. You have LRS speakers. What I need to know is what's your budget? Any thoughts on my tech at all? Not my techs, it's my tech. I know a few years ago they were pretty hot. I have a buddy telling me how much he loves his my tech. Oh, there you go. Manhattan DAC. I don't like my tech. Okay, to me it's a good DAC, but I like stuff that is great. I like reference products. Even my $2,500 DAC that I sell from Nuontech is a reference product. It beats absolutely anything up to $5,000, maybe $6,000. So far, even up to 10. I don't, my tech I put in the same bin with Berkeley Audio. Oh, who else would be in that little bag? My tech, Berkeley. Oh, what are those? Resonance Labs. Are those guys even still around? Man, I can't remember. I can see them in my head. Berkeley, Weiss. These are all just kind of good DACs, but they're not great, man. So my tech, I tried to check them out in the beginning, but there was just, I don't know, man. After and getting feedback from the field, it's just I've written my tech completely off. If you want the best DAC you've ever heard under 10 grand for $2,500, you need to buy the Nuontech DAC 07. It's on my website, or it'll be up on my website tomorrow. Finally got my web master situated, and you're going to see big changes on the website. Do not reply. You might want to look at DACs with a proper tube output stage. Yes, David makes a good point. And he denotes it by saying proper tube output stage, which is a very good distinction. Don't bypass the fact that he's using the word proper. So with a good tube output stage, tubes typically are going to be flowy and liquid. So the sound has this sort of draw to it, and it's wavy, and it's kind of like honey, and it's liquid, and it is a slow rise and a slow dive, and it's up and down, and it's not as quick as a solid state output section. So classical music, which is bum, 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 it's very flowy, right? So it goes well with tubes. Classical and tubes go well together because tubes have a flow and classical has a flow. There's exceptions, of course. So, we're not going to question that. But typically a tube output section. Now, there's one good thing and bad thing about the tube output section, and it's the same characteristic, but it's a double-edged sword. That is, the tube output DAC is made or broken by which tubes you have inside that DAC. I'll explain a little bit better. So depending if you have excellent tubes, new old stock, killer tubes, or you have recent, Russian-made, the tubes that are just, new sensor tubes or whatever, Electro-Harmonics or Sovtech or whatever. Those are not going to be the Sovtechs or whatever you get nowadays that are current model from Russia. They're not going to be that great sounding. Sometimes they can make a DAC not that great. You take those things out, you put in some CCAs that were like, made in 1965. It's going to sound like the heavens just parted and like God is coming back, second coming of Christ, type sonic with those tubes. So it's a double-edged sword. That means you can tune it to your heart's content with a tube output stage. I tend to stay away from tube output stages on my DAC. I've had plenty of them. I've had Lampizators, which is a tube output stage company. They don't, as far as I know, they still don't make their own DAC engine. They get that somewhere else, but they make a very extravagant tube output stage. To me, that's putting too much into the tube output. You're really giving it too much credence, in my opinion, at that point of buying a $50,000 Lampizator for some wicked extravagant tube output stage with 300 Bs that are power output tubes for amplifiers. You're going to be using that in an output section of a DAC. Look, you can go as crazy as you want, but you're relying on the tubes magic to make the DAC when it's more badass if you can make a real DAC that doesn't need the tubes, that can sound better and more, have better transient response. Mark that word and look it up and learn about what transient response is. Transient response is what makes a DAC sound real or not. And the Playback Designs will do a perfect square wave. You put a perfect square wave, I mean like this, like no overshoot, none of this curvy shit in the corner. It will reproduce that. You put a perfect square wave on the input, it will reproduce a perfect square wave on the output of that DAC. A tube is not going to do that, okay? A tube has this romantic thing to it, but it is not accurate, okay? It sounds great. Don't get me wrong. I'll be showing tubes at the hi-fi show because I know how much audiophiles love tubes, and I know what's going to bring people back to the room is going to be a big monster tube. But I use all solid state. So my DACs, Playback Designs, but that is a good point, David. Thanks again. Big fan. Thank you. Have a Wadia. Love Wadia 781 and haven't heard anything better. Do you have any experience with Wadia? Of course, I do. Now, I don't know the 7081. That's an older one with the eye like that, 781. I was a Wadia fanboy back when it was Wadia, when it wasn't sold off to the venture capitalist firm, the Fine Sounds Group from Italy. When they bought it, it turned into a lifestyle product. They changed everything up. They wanted to make it like Bang & Olufsen. They made all these kind of curvy, contoured things that were cool, but was it Wadia that it used to be? No, back in the day, Wadia was the most kick-ass DACs around. They were the best, okay? And there was no ifs, ands, or buts. Wadia was the best. If you have the Wadia that's an older one, then yeah, I think 781 was like the last model they made before they sold out, wasn't it? They started to get more analytical in the end there. The earlier ones were very musical, and they also had optical inputs on those. They had the twist lock ST glass fiber. I really like the older Wadias. I have a Wadia X32 in the other room. And I still love that thing, man. This thing's like 30 years old, and it sounds freaking killer. I love the old DACs. There was a certain era of DACs where they really got good. In the very beginning, they sucked. And then they took them to this very musical place, and it was awesome. And then they started to try and get them too perfect and clean and analytical. And then the soul went out of them, and then they were horrible for a while. And then now some of them are coming back. So it depends on when that Wadia was made. But I certainly loved the brand back in the day. What it is now, I've got no idea, and I probably wouldn't like what they have now because it's going to be a culmination of what investment bankers and marketing people think is good for the market, not what sounds good. Hey, Mikey, what on the Roger McGuinn reel? I'm excited to hear about the new Jeff Roland. Okay, so you can see back here, Roger McGuinn. That's a session reel, brother. Okay, so what this is, and Walker can see it here. is hard to get my fingers in there. This is an original fucking session reel, okay? So just so you people, okay, so Roger McGuinn from the Byrds, okay, and this is first show. So this is a live show, August 5th, 1976. I am a lover by you, dragging across the USA, Spaceman, feel a whole lot better when you're gone, Tambourine Man, Chestnut Mare, Rock and Roll Time, and this is live at the Roxy, second night, first show, reel 4. This is the freaking original session reel. Okay, so this was being recorded on a 16 track I know how they did this. This was Haji, right? This was in a truck sitting outside the Roxy. So there was a step van outside the Roxy. Inside this truck was a full recording studio, and they feed the cables into the show, into the Roxy, and they would hook it up to the board, and then they would take and they would record. That is a session reel. So that's before the master tape. For you guys that don't understand, that comes first. That's a 2-inch 16 track session reel, or the first. That is the actual track. That is the tracking. That the Byrds were there on that tape was there with Roger McGuinn on that exact date. They were together, the tape and the performer. And that performance went right onto that tape on that day. And I have that shit in my hand. Okay. Then they take that and they put it back through a mixing board, a console, and they mix it. They do the mix. They dump it to 2 tracks. What the mixing board is, that giant freaking thing that has all the knobs that you see these guys, Alan Parsons, sitting in front of. Well, those are the 16 tracks, 16 channels. Those are those channel strips that come, look down. It's in a line that comes straight down. Well, that channel strip has all these different, it's got EQ, it's got compression, it's got whatever, all the different shit. Level at the bottom, that fader that goes up and down, that's the level. So you take all those 16 microphones and you mix how much drums you want, how much vocal you want. Do you want the vocal to pan left to right? The guy's doing that all at the board, and then it comes out of that board 2 channels. So 16 mics go in, and then left and right comes out. Left and right comes out and goes to a 2-track, 1/4 inch, sometimes 1/2 inch, a half track, they call it machine, and that records the master. So they take one of those big tapes, like you see back here with the Roger McGuinn, and they will take this, they will mix it, okay, and they will run it through a big console, and then they dump it out to 2-track. They dump it down to 2 tracks after the mix. Then they have the 2-track rough mix, okay? That rough mix gets sent off to the mastering guy. The mastering guy then takes the rough mix. He runs it through a whole bunch of outboard gear. Now, he's not sitting at a console with a bunch of faders and shit. He's sitting at a desk with a bunch of EQ and compression and D to A converters and all this shit. And he may save it from tape to, in this point of the game, to digital. But back then, he was dumping it to another 2-track master. So you'd have 2-track rough master that came from the mixing guy, and then the mastering guy masters it and finishes the 2-track master, which then goes to the record house where they cut the vinyl, they cut the lacquer master off the tape. He has to mix it for that lossy medium, and then they make the records from it. And that's how they did it back in the day. This thing behind me, this tape that's right here, is the very first freaking original point of that music creation, comes from this tape, okay? And then you guys get your albums 5 steps away from this, okay? 5 different hands of people and 5 different transfers have happened. And it's all stayed in the tape realm until they cut the lacquer master, and then they make the albums. Or in this day and age, it's all done digitally, right? So that's what that is. I have I have hundreds of session reels, all the way down. I have hundreds of session reels. And then if we go over here, whoops, I'm just trying, over there, you can see those are all the 2-track, half-track, rough mixes, studio outtakes. All that shit there is unreleased stuff. Okay, so that's not shit that you guys have ever heard. I have a whole collection of music from famous artists, and they're not really A-list. There are some. I've got REO Speedwagon. you know, Loggins and Messina. I've got 30 Loggins and Messina. These are Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina in the living room of like their house in Topanga Canyon. And they're making recordings, and I have the originals, bro. I bought a vault. Okay, I bought a vault. I found a guy who owned a Hollywood recording studio, the Haji recording studio. I bought a whole vault of all these tapes. And so eventually we'll take them, we will bake them, we will make digital transfers to Quad DSD, and we will have digital archive of complete slew of unreleased music that nobody's ever heard. And I'm the only one that has it. That, if that doesn't, if you guys don't comprehend the credibility that leans towards me and my music journey, and coming to you guys to tell you about hi-fi, I don't know what could give me more cred than what I just showed you. Most of you guys don't understand what that stuff is. Anybody? Most people don't understand what this is. Michael Walker, I'm sure, is going to understand what I just described to you guys. So I'm super excited to hear the new Jeff Roland amp as well, Michael. I can't wait, man. It's going to be a great piece. Looking for a nice turntable. Any suggestions or opinions? What's the budget? Is Jeff Roland planning on updating the Eris DAC in the future? No, it really doesn't need it. It's a freaking great DAC. The Eris DAC is the next step down from the 15,000. So if I'm recommending a DAC to somebody in the $11,000 range or $10,000 range, it's Jeff Roland Eris, the way it is. Still to this day, nothing comes closer to the playback. So that's all I have to say. No, he's not planning to update. He doesn't need to. Hey, Bradley Craig, how are you, buddy? Okay, Walker says, hey guys, smash that like button. We need more Mikey live. Yeah, man. Everybody who's watching, we got 157 people. Why don't you all hit the thumbs up button, please, if you like this content. Yes, Mikey. Yeah, that's me, David. I'm here, buddy. I learned Pro E and UG in the 1990s, but now that I'm retired, I drew my outdoor kitchen plans by hand. Okay, yeah. No, I mean, the Draftsman table is for an electrical circuit. It's not blueprints for a house. It's a freaking schematic. Imagine that. So it's got all the resistors drawn in and where they get placed, and they're numbered, and then all the little trace pathways and all that shit. And then someone converts that to a Gerber file, which is crazy that he still does it that way. Signed copies of my outdoor kitchen drawings, but they don't look like my outdoor kitchen. No, they don't, man. Sup, Nick, and excited for the 555s. You know it. Constantly freezing and raining, and yeah, haggis is really nice. Oh, yikes! I don't know that. I mean, I would probably try a bite just because I would have to say that I've done it, but I'm sure it would taste like gritty. I'll bet you it's gritty. It's constantly freezing. Yeah, crazy how much people pick on people. Yeah, man, it is. But you know what? It's our industry is weird. There's more vitriol in this industry than any other, and it's really I change it. Look, in our hi-fi tribe, there is none of that. We're not trying to outdo each other. We're not trying to be cooler than the next guy or whatever. We're not trying to brag about how expensive our shit is. That's not what we do in the hi-fi tribe. But what I'm doing is I'm shaking it up, and so people feel threatened by me. Because I threaten to change the way things are done. I threaten to change the narrative. I threaten to make you guys think, I threaten to, so of course I get picked on because I threaten to put money into my pocket that they're putting in their pocket right now. So look, what they don't understand is they are going to have their own customers, that my customers, the people that buy from them don't like me. The people that buy from me can't stand them. So there's enough people in the industry, but they get too scared of their little precious hustle and they think they get scared because they're afraid that they're going to be exposed, and then they're going to be found out, and then people aren't going to buy their hyper expensive retarded products. So they get nervous, man. So they pick on me. I posted a vid. Let's see. I posted a vid at customers that had Luxman yet in Focal. How did the Luxman compared with the Viola Labs Cadence? I didn't have them side by side. The Viola is one of the best solid state amps I've heard. The Viola Labs is more of an amp than the Luxman. They're both kind of musical, but the Viola has a little more grip. From what I can, I haven't had them side by side, but just in my experience with what's going on, if you want, Theron, you want the Viola, you're an existing customer of mine and you're a friend, you need to call me up because I can do something crazy on that Cadence amp. I have gotten permission. Have I heard? Here's somebody else calling it TNA. T plus A. DAC 200. No, I haven't. But I haven't heard it. Thoughts on the white stacks? Regular DACs. Nothing great. I think they're okay DACs. I put them in the group with just a bunch of other DACs that are decent. They're not reference to me. A Weiss is not a reference piece, but it's good. Let's see. Okay, so Mike said, well, I think what he said was very honest. Okay, cool. I haven't seen it. Audiophile and Bike Lover. I don't attack him or throw him under the bus in my explanation either. He got upset that I didn't like his stuff. That's not throwing him under the bus. In my experience, how long does different gear and cables take to break in and sound their best? At least 100 hours for the cables. The gear, depending on the transformers, up to 500 hours. The playback design stuff like Jeff Roland amps, 500 hours. Jeff Playback Designs DACs, 500 hours. So I think after 500 hours, you can be pretty assured that your stuff is broken in. What is my take on Rolling Stone's 250 best guitar? I have not seen it yet, Michael. I'll have to check it out. But I'm sure they're going to put Nuno Betancourt up top, aren't they? I think Nuno is great at rhythm guitar, man. And rhythm is really a hard thing. And mad respect to rhythm guitarists, dude. I think rhythm guitarists are overlooked in many cases. But they really hold the whole thing together. Lead guitarist is fun, but it's cool, but it's kind of indulgent, and but there is some lead guitarists that are just out of hand that hold shit together too. Look at the way Jerry Garcia weaves through the music with his leads. So yeah, we'll see. I see neutrals here. Yeah, I don't know, Dan. I'll have to keep looking. I can't tell. Raw wires for speaker connection, more clamping force and loads more surface area contact. Sometimes the spade is like this, and if you're say on the next gen connector where you've got a round flat surface where you're dropping a spade on and then you're clamping it down, you've got the two forks. Now, if you put a wire into a hole and then you squeeze it down, depending how that cap comes down, you're kind of squishing it. Yeah, it can. They can be close, but there's no. I think the key thing about the raw wire is there's no solder and there's no connector interface. There's no crimp interface. Thoughts on Parasound JC5? Parasound is not my brand, so I don't think they're that great. I think Parasound to me is like a PS Audio and Bryston. Those three. We could see if I could throw anybody else in there. Maybe I'm not going to say Sim Audio, but Sim Audio has gotten a little homogenized recently. But no, it's good stuff. Nothing wrong with it. It's not reference to me. I'm a guy that likes to choose reference gear. So I think though Parasound is great for the money, especially the older stuff. Man, you can get a hell of an amplifier for $2,000 from Parasound. So it's good stuff. It's just not my thing. Okay. OCO, everyone, I hope find you all well tonight. Yes, Daniel, we are good. I see old trolls of my X-ray specs. Michael's on it too. That's some great info on power conditioners and transformers. Yeah, thanks, man. T plus A DAC looks really nice from the outside. For whatever that's worth, I guess sometimes it's worth, you know, what shit looks like. I mean, Dan DiAgostino has certainly taken that to the extreme. But yeah, Boulder's another one that's about look, you know. And some people like it, you know. But they really definitely have a striking look. Any thoughts on Voxative loudspeakers? I almost used the F word. They're sweet, man. Voxative is killer. I love Voxative. Can be on the expensive side. It's a premium, but I love those speakers. Every time I've heard them, I love them. And Inez really knows how to make things sound good. She knows what she's doing. I love her rooms almost every single time at every show. So thumbs up for Voxative. Hello. Hello, Tok. How are you, man? Good to see you. He bought a Puritan 156 a couple weeks back. Am I going to be East Coast vendor for Daniel Hertz? Depends on what happens with Daniel Hertz. Voxative make phenomenal drivers. Absolutely, they do. And they make great speakers too, I believe. And the amps that they make too. I mean, I've heard full Voxative rigs and they sound great to me. I don't think name is a good match with Focal. No. Let's see. Hertz dealer on the West Coast is Lone Crow. Yeah, they're not in Costa Mesa. They unless they move. Lone Crow is in NorCal, up in Rohnert Park or like above Novato, whatever that is. Man, I'm losing the name of the town, but it's NorCal. It's definitely not Costa Mesa. Hey, Mikey. Sorry, didn't stereo. Oh, you guys are talking to each other. All this 3-way and 4-way talk making me hungry. I prefer inverted 5-way and 2 chili cheese dogs. Nice. Stock Class D modules don't sound good, and that's what some people have heard. That's untrue. Bang & Olufsen ICE module 250 ASX2 sounds fucking great. And you can make it sound even better by what you do in front of it. Listen to a Jeff Roland 125, which uses a B&O ICE module, and tell me that it doesn't sound good. It is a typical misnomer. What doesn't sound good is when people use stock Class D modules and don't do anything. They just put them into a box and put the connectors on, because there are some Class D people out there that they do that. They don't innovate it at all. They just put the module in the box and they make a chassis. Anybody could do that, right? So those don't sound good. But in the case of Jeff Roland, there's Lundahl transformers on the input with a Class A input section that is completely made. The whole preamp section is made by Jeff Roland, that goes into the amplifier that feeds that Bang & Olufsen module. So the people that just put modules in a box, yeah, if it's just the module, it's not good. If it's like a Jeff Roland, for instance, it's great. Mikey, come listen to the analysis Orions and evaluate. I'm only 45 minutes away. Okay. Call me up on the phone tomorrow and let's set it up. I love my 125s. Yeah, Brad has 125s from Roland, and we'll upgrade to the 555 in a year or so. Yeah, the 555 is going to be a hell of a piece, man. I'm getting my 2 in, number 1 and number 2. They's going to be mine. I'm going to get Jeff to, well, actually, they're already in the box. I had them when I got my 625s. I had Jeff autograph the inside lid. You know, happy listening, Jeff Roland. So I got personally signed 625 S2s, matching serial numbers. So now the ones, the 555s that I get will be matching serial numbers. So that'll be cool. What's the best breakout gear you've ever heard that blew you away this year? What's breakout gear? What do you mean by breakout gear? I'm not familiar with the term. T plus A DAC 8 thoughts are T plus A. I mean, jury's out for me. It sounds like, since you're the third person that has talked about it tonight, some magazine must have made an article on T plus A, or some forum they're talking about it, because this is how it works. The little buzz gets out and the seed gets planted and people start talking about it. I've never heard them blow me away. They're good DACs. They're not, to me, they're not outstanding reference DACs. They're good. Nothing wrong with them. But I like stuff, again, that's reference level, that's great, that stands out from the crowd. I don't think T plus A stands out from the crowd. Do I know anything about the Idion Audio? No, never even heard of them. Do I know whether the JR555 can be bridged as monoblocks? I do know, and yes, it can be bridged. How would the JR555 compare to the Viola amp that you have in my system in terms of fit and finish? In terms of fit and finish, it's going to be as good, if not better, but it won't be as strong. The Viola is a stronger amp. The Viola is very, very good, clean tolerance, but it's still plate aluminum screwed together. Okay. The Roland is a freaking chunk of aluminum that's milled. So if he's going to do it the same way he's always done it. So David says T plus A DAC 8 is a workhorse. What does that mean? What makes one DAC more of a workhorse than another one? Tell me. I mean, do they need to be, does a DAC have any moving parts? Does it need to, does it get hot? So what does workhorse mean? Do you use it for production like you do a playback design? So let me know what makes it a workhorse as compared to any other DAC. Go to design for those looking to upsample, like it's a go-to design for those looking to upsample like crazy. I don't like to upsample. I think upsampling is leaves artifacts, especially with PCM. Shortly, you guys are going to see me make a case for PCM that is going to make every single one of you want to buy a DSD DAC after I'm done with my interview with Andreas of Playback Designs. If you're interested in T plus A, also look at Bricasti. That's another brand that I think is overrated. I think some people really love it. It comes from the pro audio end. Overrated to me. I beat it with Albert Porter. We did this. We did in Texas. We did a shootout using damn it, I'm having the little recall problems tonight. It's the Wave Dream signature balanced, Rockna Wave Dream signature balanced. Smoke the Bricasti. Now I don't know which, maybe there's a newer model Bricasti, but Bricasti, again, one that's just kind of like never. I think it's a good DAC, but I don't think it's that great. Robert Mitchell says hi from Australia. What's up, Robert? Rob, are you in Melbourne? Hey, Robert. Mikey, what do I think of the Hi-Fi Rose streamers? Good for the money. They're okay. They look pretty. The displays look pretty, says Dave Blumenstein. Yeah, I would agree. They are pretty. That display is very pretty. Stereophile used to pay writers $500 an article. Writers need freebies to survive. Okay. Well, that makes them biased. That's exactly right. Writers need manufacturers to pay them. Hence the bias. Stereophile and Absolute Sound have not only devolved, but worn out their welcome. Boy, have they ever. David is speaking truth right there. That is truth. It's not what it used to be. You guys aren't believing the same old bullshit. And you're not just, you guys aren't turned on by just hearing people regurgitate crap about stuff every other day, something different, just regurgitating stuff. Every day I just get stuff on my inbox that just chewed up vomit, It's crazy. I mean, I guess they have to. That's how they make money. I get it. Streamer recommendation. What's the budget? Internals of the Hi-Fi Rose doesn't look very substantial. Yeah, well, it's a computer. Look at a wicked computer Asus motherboard. It doesn't look substantial at all, and that thing can do like AI, you know. So sometimes looks can be deceiving in digital gear. We're getting close to my end time, guys. I'd love to keep on going, but I'm a little worn out. I may go like a little bit over my 1.5 hour mark. Okay, so looks like an Aussie audiophile. If you go to Shane's site, he will be doing absolutely unbiased reviews. He doesn't take any money or product, so you might want to go there. Sold out souls, play the game and perfect the take. Yeah, okay, so David gets it. Sold out souls, meaning the reviewers in the magazines play the game, in some of them, not all of them. They play the game and they perfect the take from the lemmings. The lemmings being the herd. They have perfected the take from the herd. They know exactly how to milk the green milk, like I talked about last time. They know how to milk the green milk out of the herd. Any opinions about AudioQuest cables? I'd never, ever buy any of it. There's no way you can make anything in that volume without going overseas to China and buying your stuff. Anytime you do anything that high volume as AudioQuest, quality is going to suffer. You don't know how many people, and if you were to read the magazines, you'd think AudioQuest is the best stuff. Dare I use the word junk? I don't know, maybe. There's 70-point margins in that for the dealers. It's overpriced bullshit, in my opinion. That's my opinion about AudioQuest cables. Overpriced bullshit. Just so there's no ambiguity. I have a pair of YG acoustic Haley speakers. What is your opinion on YG? They can sound good, you know. I don't know too much about them. And they changed hands, so I don't know too much about them. First concert I ever attended was Kiss. I was blown away. Yeah, I'll bet, man. The pyrotechnics. Have you ever considered running my own cables through a cable cooker before selling? Absolutely. I have the latest, greatest, top of the line cable cooker. So I do that. Not for everybody, but sometimes if they want it cooked, I do it. There's no way I'm running everything through there. It's way too time consuming. I mean, now I've got people making my cables. They do them 100 at a time. You know, so no, they're not going to get cooked. If I'm hand making you stuff, I might cook them on my own. What do I think about the benchmark DAC? Same as I feel about like those other ones that we just talked about. It's I don't like it. It's just regular old stuff. It's same like MyTech. Get a benchmark, get a MyTech, get a Berkeley, get a man, what was the one he just said? Get a Weiss. Get a T+A, you know, I don't know. They're all kind of the same to me. They all kind of sound the same. How do I feel about Modrite? I see them at a few shows. I think Dan's a good guy. I think he's had a successful career in the audio industry. I've heard some stories about that stuff breaking in the field. You know, so I don't know how reliable those tube things are. I just don't know. I've heard several stories of repairs with those things. I think he handles the repairs pretty well. I don't think there's any problem getting them repaired. I think they're okay, you know. Do I know Bledelius? No, I don't know Bledelius. NRG control amplifier is pretty sweet. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Like and subscribe, people. There's 152 people here and 11 likes. Yeah, there's 173 people here. Give the thumbs up. Click on the thumbs up thing. Do you guys know what that means? It helps the channel. Someone's telling me there's 11 likes. How come? Give me reasons why you're not clicking thumbs up. And see if it even makes sense. I use a 1975 reflector 6N23P in my DAC, super detailed and fast. Oh, is that the super tube? Yeah, probably, but it's still not going to do a square wave like a Playback Designs would, or you know, most of the solid states. Yeah, I mean 6N23P. If I think that's the super tube. Those sound like solid state. I don't even like those tubes. Sonic in like preamps and stuff, I don't like that. I don't like it. It sounds solid state to me. And at that point, I might as well get a solid state and have it do a better job at solid state. But 1975 reflector is definitely the super tube to have for that thing. And I actually have a client who's got a Nat Audio preamp that has the reflectors or has the 6N23Ps, if that's the super tube, and he loves them. Do I still like APL DACs? Yeah, absolutely. They're great. They're just not as good as playback, and they're more expensive. Now, I have an APL that I will sell. I have a DSD-MR. For if somebody wants a DSD-MR, I will sell it to you at a sick price. You know, so call me up. Will new OnTech make a DAC with a remote for volume control at similar price? No, they will make it for me for my, I have commissioned one. Okay, so together I'm working with the owner of New OnTech, and I've put out a concept and I've commissioned a build. So he's building an amp for my market. I told him what I wanted on it. And I told him what kind of volume control. I told him other features that I want in terms of balanced inputs, balanced outputs. I want dual outputs that are both controlled by the volume. I gave him some pretty specific design elements, and I've commissioned a build. And he will build that for me, and it will not be at a similar price. It'll be $7,500. But this is something that I think can... We'll see how good it is, but I have the feeling it may be, I may be able to eliminate anything up to 15,000 with it. So, any opinion on the new Class A amps with internal fans? Typically don't like internal fans on anything. So, I don't have any opinion. The new Class A, I don't know who owns them, or that the company used to be good. It was one of those, you know, and I don't know how it is in this day and age, but I definitely don't like internal fans. That's pro audio stuff. Mike is right. I heard AGD gear, including the GAN amps at the Exponent Audio show last spring, and the sound was outstanding. There you go. Great clarity, fast and natural sounding, looked very well built, and the owner designer was a super nice guy. Yeah, and Alberto is a good guy. Why do I think R2R is often the choice for vinyl people when they go digital? Because it's discrete circuitry, so it doesn't use chips. So they think because it doesn't have a chip, it's not going to sound like a chip DAC. And in some cases that's true, but it doesn't. It's not the truth. The chip DACs are just like the easiest thing to build. So most of the shitty DACs are chip DACs. But in the case of New OnTech, that's a $2,500 chip DAC that absolutely wipes. It'll beat a Terminator, a Denafrips Terminator. I mean, it wipes the floor with a lot of R2Rs. So just because an R2R is an R2R doesn't mean it's a great DAC, doesn't mean it sounds analog. In the case of the Chinese R2Rs, they're not that great, man. I know chip DACs made in Denmark that beat them. I sell one. So R2R is the choice for vinyl people because it's discrete and it does not include chips. What these people don't understand, they're so simple in their thinking that they're thinking that just a certain technology is going to make the sound of the amp, when it's the circuit design and the implementation that makes the sound. It's not what type of tires you put on the car that makes it fast or not. So people just don't understand that. So it's a very simpleton and unaware way of thinking to think that R2R is going to be better just because it doesn't have chips. Appreciate my time and expertise. Thanks, CJ. Griffin, Calliope. I want to hear that thing. Expensive, but how does it sound to playback this? I have no idea. I've never had the Calliope here. I would love to hear it. I've heard it's great. It's a little long in the tooth, but that doesn't mean anything can still be great. I'd love to hear it. Does Brandon Triblocky have a 201S or a 401? Who knows? Got an EQ and compression. Oh no, for those who hate using EQ. Oh yeah, okay, so you're going the pro audio route, Sky. A lot of people do that. Thanks for indulging me about McGuinn tape. I met him a couple of times. Great guy, face fuchsia white. Oh, got you. yeah, I'll bet, man. That's cool. Damn, Mikey, all those tapes, you love music or what? Yeah, that's why I do this, man. The hi-fi for me is a freaking tool to get to the music. And it needs to be a window to the soul of the music. And if it doesn't do that, I want no part of it. I'm not into these bad hi-fi products that are going to sell like crazy this year, sell like crazy for the next 3 months. I don't like that. So I get the stuff that brings the music to us. So that's why I'm a walking Iron Mountain. Yeah, exactly, man. Hey, man, thoughts on Magico A3? No, I don't have any. I think one of my customers, a couple of my customers have it. How does OnTech DAC 7 compare to Terminator DAC? It beats both of those. It beats both of those. It's more musical. That's how it compares. It's more musical. It's more analog sounding than either of those. Terminator and the May sound more analytical. Legrand still loving his new OnTech 7. He's got one. He's going to trade me a Les Paul one day when he'll loosen up with it. Entertainment business is sleazy. Yes, I know, man, especially in the old days. Mikey got to ride a friend's restored note in 750 Commando. Scared the piss out of me. Oh, come on. That thing, it scared the piss out of you because it was old and the freaking wheels were going to fall off and it had no brakes. That's why it scared the shit out of you. I'll bet, man, an old motorcycle like that, I wouldn't want to ride them either. I look at those old Matchless and shit like that, and they're cool, but I'm like, I say to the guys, this thing looks like it would scare the piss out of me. It's got a freaking drum brake on it, a single drum brake, and it thing looks sketchy as shit. I need modern motorcycles to feel safe, you know? Describe the difference between the MPD6 and the MPD8. The MPD6 is a little more lively. The MPD8 is more laid back. That's in a nutshell. More refined and laid back, the 8 is. Agree on rhythm players. Some people slag Nile Rodgers for being too high on that Rolling Stone pole. Not many better rhythm grooves than Nile. Yeah, for real, man, for real. I'm going to try and wrap this up. I got to rip through these questions. What do I think of used Jeff? I don't remember the Model 9s. Were those the big ones, or were they? If they're Class D, I would not get them. The older Class Ds, I wouldn't get. But if they're older Class AB, then yeah, absolutely. Okay, if I love my, I end up listening to the same recorded tracks over and over, what can you do now? What can you do to make? Okay, so here's a good question. He's asking, what can you do to make non-audiophile tracks more listenable? If you find yourself only listening to, the 5 of the same songs, you need a better deck. You need a better system. A better system will connect you. How should I say this? You love your homely girlfriend because you've been with her for 8 years now, and you love her and she's super sweet to you. But the Playback Designs is, that's a bad one, because if you love somebody, you should stay with them. If you love your hi-fi system and you only listen to the good recordings, then why do you love it? You think you love it. Okay. I could show you something that you'd love more. That's the kind of the answer to that. Yeah, I did not see that. Have I heard Tad amps? No, I have not. But I gotta say, they're a speaker company, so I don't expect much. What's up, Vooch? What is up? Someone was asking about something I thought of you a second ago. Somebody asked some. Can I go deep on the used quartz cross? I can't, Tall Paul. You came on a little late at 10:30. I got 1:45. I gotta cut out. Next week, Tall Paul, come in and I'll go deeper. Mr. Tez Tickles has entered the chat. Right on, man. Oh boy, that one I didn't even get. Tez Tickles. Big boss testicles. Thoughts on Linkwitz and spatial audios, open baffle compared to Maggie's? I don't know. I haven't heard. I don't know. I like Maggie's. I think Linkwitz are solid. Spatial's pretty good too, but I kind of like Maggie's. I think probably better than Spatial. Spatial's going to have better bass, but Maggie's with bass are going to beat Spatial's. So that's my opinion. Have I heard Tad amps? No. List some reference DACs, old or new. Old Wadia, old Audio Arrow, some of the old TAC stuff, old some of the old MSB was okay. The old MBL was good. And then the Playback Designs is the modern one that is reference king that beats everything. And then New On Tech is one for 2,500. Okay. Steve Huff did a review of the T+A. Okay. We're happy for him. Thoughts on Bang & Olufsen flagship BLab active? Super cool technology, but just cool technology, I guess. Breakout gear. Okay, so the breakout gear would be the Slate speakers, Fisher and Fisher. Those are total breakout. They break out from common hi-fi pack, and they have an what's the word I'm looking for? An excellent value. I'm getting tired now, man. So the Fisher and Fisher, the new OnTech, amazing DACs for $2,500. Playback Designs Amplifier or Playback Designs DAC is amazing. I mean, it's the reference, so it breaks out from the common hi-fi because of how good it is. So I could go into more next time. Upsampling smooths the sound too much for me. Not for me, man. It makes it too harsh for me, upsampling, and I can get echoes and I hear weird artifacts. What strains? Indica, of course. You sound great tonight in flow to the show. Indica is for sure the best for soundstage, dude. Sativa, you smoke that before you do your tweaks, dude. That's funny. That are going to sell the GR subs. Did you keep them as they are hard to replace? No, I just haven't gotten around to making my own subs yet. I'm going to make my own. I'm using these 21s. What 12K DACs to look at? 12K, 12. That's a soft spot, man. I've got the Meitner Audio, which is my 12K DAC. Meitner Audio, 12K with the streamer in it. Ed Meitner. It's a little bit on the soft sounding side. So you want to team it with a system that maybe is a little bit forward sounding. You put this in, it balances everything out. Just had a Mark Levinson 23 rebuilt. Cool. Cord makes some nice cables and they don't use solder and they're quite cheap. We're happy for them. Come on, guys. Like and support. Yeah, exactly. The fuck is wrong with you guys? Click the thumbs up button, man. I don't know. Why is it so hard? Isn't it just like you move the damn mouse up there and you click a thumbs up? I mean, we can't tell who you are that did it. It just adds a thumb up. Don't worry. No one will know that you like Mikey. You know, hit like if you want to see the MoFi. Yeah, exactly, man. Show me you guys you like this shit by putting the thumbs up. If I get 11 freaking thumbs up, I'm going to assume you guys aren't into this shit. And you know what, you guys have to let me know. I have no way of knowing unless you thumbs up or subscribe. Okay. And I can see you guys subscribing, but you got a thumbs up to tell me which videos you like which content you like the best. So you thumbs up where it's the best. So then I know recreate this style, because sometimes I'll go on rants. Sometimes I'll be real mellow like I am tonight. I need to know what style you guys like best, you know? So, but rants, truly, I can't keep that shit up. That only happens when I'm pissed off. Listen to DCS, Vivaldi, and not impressed. I can relate. Still to this day, best deck I've ever listened to was a Mark Levinson 30.5. Yep, that's cool. You got to try an MPD-8 and see what that sounds like. How much money constitutes a reference system? I've heard people 75K is no. No, that's bullshit, Nick. I've got a reference DAC that's $2,500. What reference means is that at its price point, it's better than any freaking thing else. Clearly, like it kicks everything else's ass at that price. That is a reference piece at that price. A reference is your reference. Okay. So there's a $2,500 reference. It's called the new OnTech DAC 07. That is absolutely a freaking reference, and it's only $2,500. So maybe it's the term that they're talking to. Maybe they're trying to say what is a real high-end system. But 75K would, yeah, I mean, look, I've got a reference rig in the other room playing. I'm going to make a video for you guys tomorrow that is 4, 8, 9, everything's $4,000. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. $12,000. Freaking sick sounding. Retarded. Freaking retarded. And 12 grand. So, and it's absolutely a reference rig. So reference rigs depend on how well the stuff is built. It has nothing to do with the price level, but that's the word reference. Then you want to say, what's a big dick audio system? Well, yeah, a big dick audio system is starts at 75 grand. That's bragging rights. That's like, you know, where does big, what's a fuck you watch? You know, it starts at Panerai, you know, and then from there it goes to, you know, AP or maybe some of the Rolexes, and then, you know, then it goes to Patek Philippe, and then, you know, it goes, you know, even Ason and Sons, you know, or something like that, some shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you really mean when people say 75K? You know, they're talking about big dick systems, you know. What when can you really, because I've got a reference system in there that's what did I say? 12 grand, man. And I'll play it for you guys. Oh, have you ever liked any of the middle models, mainstream brands like Focal, Sopra, Magico? No, I have not. B&W, no, not. I've never got, people seem to rave. That's because they're popular and they're in the magazines, but I don't like them. Vooch, that's right, the A3s. So Vooch loves his A3s. He always talks about them. He always tells me, Mikey, you've never heard Magico. You need to hear Magico. You need to come up here, man, and hang out. You got to hear my Magicos and hear what they sound like. So I want to hear Magico, and I haven't heard them sound good so far that I liked. I mean, they sounded good, but they just didn't sound great. They didn't connect me to the music, but I'll come listen to Vooch. I sold him some tube amps. He told me he had Magicos. I said, you need tube amps, brother, for those things. He put the tube amps. He's like, holy shit, Mikey. Thank you, brother. How are the smaller, more affordable two-way models from Fisher & Fisher? They're sick, Tall Paul. They're sick. They're $4 grand, and they're my girlfriend went in the other day. She came out and was like, God, the rig sounds really good. And I had just put those big 770s in there. She's like, I really like the new speakers. And I go, you know, those are the little ones, right? She's like, what? I said, yeah, you're listening to the little speakers. She was like, no way. She could not believe that she was actually listening to the little monitors. The big ones were right next to him. She thought she was listening to the big speakers. That's how good they are. It's ridiculous that they make them for $4 grand. It's ludicrous. That means they have to sell them to me at like 40 points off. Go do the math. Like, how much do you think they're freaking going to the earth and digging slate out of the freaking earth, cutting slate, and then putting it into a box and then putting all German parts. It's ridiculous. If anybody is in the market for $4,000 speakers, you're a tool if you don't buy these slate speakers. You're a tool if you don't buy SN70s. I don't know how else to put it. There's nothing that I've heard even close. Nothing even close in that price range. This kills what's the B&B, the I don't know why I can't remember shit tonight. But those speakers from Spain, you know, that everybody's raving about. I raved about them when I heard them. They're the bookshelf monitors that if the people are, I mean, these things image like, I mean, I almost want to bring them to the show just to bring something really cheap to blow people's minds. But everybody be, yeah, you didn't bring anything big enough. So they're sick, man. They're sick. Those speakers are really good. Best automatic turntable for a blind person that cannot set up automatic start, stop, and return, wanting to upgrade from Thorns. Timmy, I've got no idea, brother. I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good call up Dr. Vinyl. Dr. Vinyl's name is Jose. Find Dr. Vinyl and talk to Jose, man. He can set you straight. Good night, Charles. If I'm blind, I will go something like linear techniques. Okay. If you got the money, I think Nakamichi, center finding church. There you go. You guys are already helping him. Howard Black, dude, I talked to Dr. Robert today about sound healing. And I got a little loop of people. We're going to create something. So get back with me, brother. When you clicked, it's not registering the thumbs up from Howard. Okay, that's weird. 555 will be 14,800, just under 15 grand. Is there a model number for the Nakamichi? I'll be looking into both of these. Funny, I love Panerai. Yeah, I'm about ready to get one, Dave. If you have a Panerai and you want to trade for a hi-fi, brother, now we got to trade. So I can't take the Boss Haas, but I will take a Panerai. I will take a watch. You talked to me about, you have Chopard, you got some, you know, you have Breguet, Blancpain. I mean, what do you got, brother? I've just got this little guy, which is, it's an auto, it's made in Switzerland, but it's not a big dog. And I want, so if you've got some great watches, Davey, I'm happy to trade watches. Make a trade for those TAD speakers. Can't remember the model number. It finds the center part. Oh yeah, talking about the, okay, seems pretty unique. Okay, thumbs up. Learning more every week. See the direction you go. Right on. Did you and Jay have a falling out? He talked about being offended by someone, but we have to guess. Yeah, probably me, man. He got offended because I didn't like his stuff, you know. You know, and he's talking about some other guy that's in, that I used to, we were opposites, you know, and Jay didn't understand that we were better off as polar opposites, like Siskel and Ebert or some shit like that. It was better for you guys that I didn't like his shit and that he didn't like my shit. Now, I wasn't playing. I really didn't. His stuff was great. It sounded perfect, but I can't stand that perfect polished hi-fi sound. He thinks that's great sound. I don't. So we were different, and that's what made us great. However, he got offended when I came to his house, and then in a video, I said, I don't like that, like MSB is a bitch ass amp. And I still think it is a bitch ass amp, but he was all pissed off. Now, I think it's because the dealers that he's partners with were pissed because they carry the brands that I didn't like that I said publicly. So maybe it hurt them. They bitched at him. Then he started not, you know, then he bitched at me, and he bitched at me, man. He was like, and I said, dude, I'm just telling the truth, man. I don't like that sound. Who cares my fucking opinion, man? Yeah, but you shouldn't come to my house and shit on my gear. I'm like, I didn't shit on it. I said, I don't like it. That's all I said. I don't like it. I didn't say it was bad. So, yeah, who knows? Plus, he hangs out with some really unsavory people in the industry that I really I think are the kind of the bottom of the barrel. And it's not Mike. If people are thinking it's Mike from you know, Mike in Florida, I'm not going to say what dealer he's at. But it's not Mike. It's another guy from Florida that is a real piece of shit, in my opinion. And just so Jay's who he's hanging out with, I don't want to hang out with those guys, man. They're just not my people. I have different people. You see my channel. I hang out with Ivana Manley, David. I want to say David Crosby. Frickin' I'm too tired, man. My brain is not working. Ivana, Mark Levinson, and Jeff Roland, and Andreas Koch, and David Chesky, and you know, these are my people, man. You know, so anyways, good to know about tubes and Magico. Being blind, I want to try avoid tubes, but value saturation. Well, there you go. Nakamichi Dragon, JR555 will cost. Okay, I did that. What are those blue circles in your glasses? That's the freaking ring light that I got going here. So I'd have to take off my glasses. I'll be getting some real lights here soon enough. Don't, you know. So I'm not going to, well, okay, you can understand why someone likes gear and not it personally. Yep, like it yourself. Do I consider Cheap Audio Man an expert? No way, James Brown. JB, don't ask me that question. He's not an expert, man. This guy is, he is one of the most prolific YouTube channels. He knows how to pimp himself in that realm, but he's Cheap Audio Man. He knows nothing about hi-fi. He just comes to the shows to piss on hi-fi. He knows nothing. He doesn't live it, you know? So no, he's got a ton of viewers, but he's not an audio expert. Okay, I got to go, guys. This has been 2 hours now. So you know what I bought on Amazon the other day is, yeah, and it's probably fucking made in China, I'll bet. I hope it's not, but it will be because it's Amazon. It's a timer clock. So I'm going to have a big ass digital freaking timer that it's going to count down. And when that shit hits 90 minutes, I'm out, man. I get tired doing this. I can't do this. But you bet, Ron, no problem. Thanks for my honesty. And you bet, guys, that's what I do. Love me or hate me. But, you know, so anyways, I will see you guys soon. Thanks for joining. I'll make some more videos for you coming up this week. Thanks, guys, and I will see you. Come to Capital Audio Fest.